This is Inside Mside, your favorite podcast for all things Morningside. Here's stories from students, alumni, faculty, and more about what makes the Morningside experience so special. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another installment of Inside Mside. I'm really excited for this edition. We actually have with us President-elect Dr. Albert Mosley. Dr. Mosley, welcome to the pod.
Thank you, Alex. I'm excited to be here. I'm looking forward to our conversation with you and with our students who are present with us.
Most definitely. I'm excited not only to welcome you, but as you said, we have some great students here with us. Let's go ahead and everyone knows me. My name is Alex Waters, Director of Alumni Engagement. But here with us today, we have
Garrett Arbuckle. I'm a junior political science major, originally from Littleton, Colorado.
I am Sarah Severus. I'm a junior nursing major from Omaha, Nebraska.
My name is Caleb Watson. I am a sophomore marketing major from Indianola, Iowa.
No doubt. And Dr. Mosley, you should know one thing about our students at Morningside. Not only are they busy in their academics, but they're also very heavily involved. And that's no shortage here with these students here today. Why don't we go through one more time, just talk a little bit about what you're involved in here on campus. So he knows just a little bit more about who we have with us.
Yeah. So I just finished my term as student body president. And I'm also involved a lot with the Colonel Bud Day Center for Civic Engagement, which is where the Morningside poll, a statewide poll that we gauge Iowa's opinions, is run out of. We do a lot of voter engagement. I'm involved with campus media. I'm the news director of the radio station. I work in residence life. I'm an RA and do a lot in that office. And yeah, happy to be here.
Well, I'm obviously involved with the marketing department here. I'm an intern. I'm also involved with our welcoming committee, our Woo Crew. I'm a lead with Caleb here.
There you go.
I am also involved with MSNA. I was recently elected historian for MSNA. And I'm also involved with Res Life. I work just as a front desk worker.
And then me, I'm also on the welcoming committee on the Woo Crew with Sarah as a lead. I'm also a part of the wrestling team here at Morningside. I wrestle at 174 pounds, and I do some intern work in the Crone office as well.
No
Excellent.
doubt.
Excellent. Good to hear all of these great things you guys are doing. Garrett, you definitely have the radio voice, I think.
Maybe not. I've had a few years of practice.
I was going to say, you might need to tune in to the radio station because you will hear G Money on the radio airwaves. So
Oh, wow.
we're excited to have him here. Yeah, you didn't know he even had a show. So, I mean, he's prepared. He was made for this moment, that's for sure.
Wow. That's cool.
Well, Dr. Mosley, I think we're really excited to have you on the pod, not only to talk a little bit about your experience so far, but also just to get to know you a little bit. This is really an opportunity to, we've had different board members on the pod, as well as people on campus that are doing things, maybe even some alumni that have been instrumental in shaping Morningside over the years. And so this is really kind of a great opportunity for students to get to know you a little bit, and maybe anyone tuning in or watching this after the fact to learn a little bit more about you. So why don't we start there? Why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself, maybe a little bit about your family, and how excited you are to be a part of Morningside.
Sure. Thanks, Alex. So let me see where to start. A little bit about me. And I think this is probably where, at least from my perspective, I see kind of points of intersection between me and maybe a good number of the students at Morningside. So I was born and raised in a rural, very, very small rural community. And when I say small, I mean small. So born and raised in East Central Mississippi, in a small town with about max 500 people in it. You definitely knew everyone. You were mostly related to everyone also, which makes it kind of hard when when it's time for high school prom and everything. You're like, wait, you're my cousin. We can't go to prom together. And so, but anyway, so really, really small town in East Central Mississippi. I am the youngest of six children. I was born in a single family household. My mom, single mother, and of my six siblings, the first to go off to college, first generation college student, first generation college graduate, first generation professional. and grew up in a small community that was incredibly nurturing. That's one of the things I remember the most about my childhood experiences in that part of rural Mississippi. Folks supported you. And interestingly, even though a lot of people around me had never gone to college, when I sort of expressed that as a dream or a desire or a vision, everybody supported me. Everybody kind of jumped on board, and they were like, wow, this kid is going to go to college. And so I have very fond memories of my time there growing up. And I know there are a lot of students at Morningside who come from rural communities themselves, and probably can certainly identify with that sort of that feeling of family you get, the sense of support you get in small communities, and also just kind of the values that that are imparted to you in really small communities where it's very family oriented. So that's where I grew up. So left there, went off to college, to a school very similar to Morningside, a school called Millsaps College in Jackson, Mississippi, small private liberal arts college. Majored in biology and biology pre-med, and had every intention, Sarah, you'll find this interesting as a nursing student, I had every intention of going to med school. So graduated with a degree in biology, did extremely well, loved it, got accepted to med school, went to med school for, it's crazy because I always thought it was just a semester, but I realized it was actually the full first year. I was going back reflecting upon this stuff. And so decided not for me, and I never will forget this. I came home to my small town after that first year, and my brother-in-law at the time, everybody was there, my mom's place, and folks were happy that I'd come back home and stuff. And so I dropped the news that, hey, yeah, I'm not going back to med school. And my brother-in-law was like, hey, I think you've pretty much lost your mind. So I'm gonna load you up in his pickup truck. And there was a state hospital, like a mental hospital, about an hour and a half from where I grew up. And he's like, I'm gonna take you there now because clearly you've lost your mind. And of course, it didn't make it any better because I dropped the other half of the news. Not only am I not going back to med school, but guess what, guys? I'm going to go to seminary instead.
Oh my God!
Oh wow!
Yeah.
A complete 180.
And so you can only imagine the reception that I received. But I think the only thing that sort of the saving grace in all of that was I said, well, I'm going to go to seminary at Duke, though. So then we're like, oh, okay, all right, that's a little better. Although still not the best thing, but it is Duke. So anyway, went off to Duke, went there for grad school, seminary, and then after that went to Yale to earn a terminal degree in theology, so that was kind of my experience as a first generation college student. As you can imagine, I found myself in environments where, come on, like Yale, really? Even Duke, I was just like, wow, like how in the heck am I even here? How did I get here? But just incredibly grateful for those experiences and what they've meant for me in my life and how they've shaped and formed me as a leader in my life now. So a little bit about my sort of personal life and my family. Garrett, you've met Sarita, and I think Sarah, you met Sarita, my wife Sarita, as well at when we were there for Champions Day. But married to Sarita. Sarita is a dentist by profession. So she knew early on she wanted to be a dentist and went to dental school. Unlike me, she didn't quit after the first year.
She went through.
Make like a drastic turn. But I'll say more about that later because I think there's something really significant there for students to hear in terms of just following your passion and doing what you feel you've been called to do in your life, as opposed to something that will probably, lead to you making a ton of money and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, Sarita's a dentist. We've got four kids, 3 young adults, and an 8-year-old. Some of you have met Ava Rose, our 8-year-old. So we've got a 23-year-old son who's the wrestler, Caleb, that I mentioned to you, who's a wrestler in high school, 22-year-old son, and a 20-year-old daughter. And I think one of the things that I find really interesting at this particular stage in my life is, having 3 kids in college, or recently having having finished college, but having 3 kids who are in school who are in school at the same time, in college at the same time, and just listening to each of them share from their perspective about their different experiences. I mean, every single one of them has had a very different experience, and they each have been in very different types of institutions as well. And so that's been really sort of eye-opening for me to just hear their experiences. And I think it also probably will help me to understand even more the experiences of students at Morningside. So that's a little bit about me and my family. Alex, I just kind of likes and hobbies and all that sort of stuff. I like to run. During my visit there at Morningside back in November, I kind of shared with students, you probably don't want to witness or watch me jogging or running, because it looks like something is happening to me, like
someone's flailing. Yeah.
It's all kinds of weird things happening. So it's not something you want to witness and watch. But anyway, you'll probably see me out running at times. And so when you do, please don't laugh. Just, know that I'm just trying to get a couple miles in. So, but I like to run. We consider ourselves to be amateur farmers, and so we like to garden. We just grow small stuff, nothing major. I am a recovering TV addict. So I have and Netflix in particular. So I recently decided, hey, you know what? You can probably go without this a little bit, and so I've been trying to cut back on Netflix. There's some of my favorite shows on there. We can talk about some of those later. But anyway, so yeah, that's sort of the skinny on who I am. And if there's anything in particular you'd like to know, I'm happy to answer it. So.
No doubt. So a little more being active, like you said, you might even go biking later today, a little more of that, maybe gardening, tending to the blueberry bushes, and a little less binging Netflix is what you're saying, right?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do, Alex.
Oh, I got you. Life's about balance. Life is about balance.
It really is. And so, we got a little break now because the second part of the 4th season of Ozark doesn't start until next week. So I don't know if any of you like Ozark or not, but it's one of our favorite shows. And so I'm on a little bit of a break because of that. And so when that happens, I think the second part of season 4 starts like Tuesday, I believe. And so we'll probably, you can't binge because it's only going to be once a week. So, but anyway.
Well, you had shared about your experience going off to college the first time, kind of that small family liberal arts feel. Going back to when you first came to campus here on Morningside's campus, what was your first impression?
Wow, my first impression. So the first time I actually came to campus was back in November. So November 2021. My first thought was, wow, it's really cold here. And so it was pretty cold back then. But I seriously speaking, I recall walking across campus and sort of, just random people like students and others speaking. And I thought to myself, this is, even in the South, where we talk about Southern hospitality all of the time, it's kind of rare now to find people just sort of say hello and hi to you. But I sensed immediately when I walked on campus sort of this, a sense of community and family. I remember remarking to Sarita at the end of that first day of our visit, I said, wow, this place feels very much like it feels a lot like home to a certain degree, because people were just really friendly and people were very nice to us. And so I think my very first impression, Garrett, really was that sense of community, the sense of family. And I think also, I observed people, as they were sort of coming and going. And I remember in particular, when we had the student forum in the auditorium, I saw how students came in and sort of spoke to each other and talked to each other. And I kind of, I sensed even then, just this, a feeling of connection and community. So and I felt it myself as well. So that was really my first impression when I entered or came on campus.
Well, and it's so interesting that you felt that same way, because I know we've talked with other members of the pod before, or guests that we've had on, that talk about, you have to experience campus. You have to come on campus. And you mentioned coming from a small town, how you felt that sense of community, and how we have a lot of students that come from maybe more rural areas or even bigger cities, but then they come here and have that sense of community. You come to campus and feel like you have a family of people that actually all care about your success and want to see you go on to do great things. So it's great that you had that same feeling as well.
Initially I thought it was, you've got this thing called Southern hospitality. Then I've heard about the sort of Midwestern pleasantries and politeness.
Or Iowa nice.
Iowa nice in particular. And so I thought it was that at first. And then, we've been back for several other visits, and I continue to feel it. And each time we're there, it seems like it gets greater and greater. And so I think there is, I know there is a genuineness to it, that it really is something that's palatable, whatever, you all know the word.
Yeah.
You're students, so you know the word. Just this really genuine sense of community and openness. So yeah.
Something that makes us special for sure.
Mm-hmm. So Dr. Mosley, when you got the call for the offer to be president, tell us about that time. Like, how did your family react? How did you react? How did you celebrate?
So, Sarah, I actually was here in my office here at Methodist Healthcare, where I currently serve. And I think I may have been wrapping up the meeting, and I saw this call pop up on my cell phone, and it was a 202 area code, DC area code, and I thought, who's calling me from DC? So I answered the phone, and it was Esther McIntosh, the board chair, and she called to share with me that the board had just met, and she had been authorized by the board to place a call to me to extend an offer to me to become the 13th president of Morningside University. And obviously I couldn't scream and shout on the phone with the board chair. I had to say, oh, thank you so much. I'm very excited to hear this news, And so in the meantime, I'm really, I know she can't see me, so it's like jumping up and down in my office, and so, but I was extremely excited and very happy to receive that call. And as soon as Esther and I concluded our conversation, I called Sarita and shared the news with her. Sarita's office is about 3 blocks from my office. She works for the University of Tennessee Health Science Center in our College of Dentistry there. So I called her, and I was like, and we'd actually ridden to work together that day, and it was probably about 3 p.m, not time to leave yet. So I called her and I said, pack your bags, we're getting out of here. We gotta go and celebrate. She's like, I've got patients. I was like, well, you need to tell them to reschedule them or something.
I'm rescheduling.
So we ended up leaving, and I went to pick her up, and then just as I picked her up, she goes, "Wait, what about Ava Rose?" I was like, "Oh wait, yeah, I forgot about her. We got to get her from school." So, I was so excited, and so we went and picked Ava Rose up from school, and we went to one of my favorite restaurants here in the city of Memphis. It's a place called Porch and Parlor. It's sort of a steakhouse, I guess, but they have some of everything. So we went there, we celebrated, we had a great time. But Sarah, I was extremely excited to receive that call, and just the prospect of joining the Morningside community and the Morningside family. I think I was in celebration mode I'm still in celebration mode, but certainly I was in a very visible celebration mode for at least a couple of weeks following that call. And I had to kind of temper that a little bit because, I'm like, our president CEO here, he and I had been conversing about Morningside the entire time. So he was very familiar with where I was in the process and everything, and very supportive of my candidacy. And so, I told him about it. He's like, "All right, I don't want you to sound so super excited about this, okay?" Because you're just waiting to get out of here. I was like, well, I mean, I'm very excited. And, but again, I had to kind of temper that a little bit. And so
at least sound a little sad that you're leaving, right?
So anyway, yeah, but it was just a really, Sarah, it was just a really great moment to get that call and to know that I would have the opportunity to join the Morningside family, the Morningside community, and to offer my skills and sort of my leadership to Morningside at this particular time. So yeah, very excited to get that call.
So Dr. Mosley, your move to Iowa is coming up a lot sooner than a lot of us think. Like the school year's about over and everything. What are you doing to prepare for your move to Iowa, and what are you doing to prepare from being just the president-elect to the actual president of Morningside University?
Yeah, thanks, Caleb, for that question. So that call came in December. I think it was maybe like the first week of December when I received the call to invite me to become president of Morningside. And so back in December, and you look at December and you look at a July 1 start date, and you're thinking, I've got all the time in the world, to sort of prepare for this. Well, here we are. We're almost like May 1st. And Caleb, as you indicated, the semester is almost over. And I've been preparing a lot mentally for it. But in terms of like packing and doing those kinds of things, nothing has happened on that front yet. And I think the stress is starting to build up a little bit related to that. But in terms of preparing for the actual transition itself, so Sarita and I have made several trips there to Morningside and have been meeting with members of the senior staff. So Aaron, for example, and Chris Spicer and Terry Curry and Ron Jorgensen. So we've been meeting with members of this. I've been meeting with members of the senior staff and with John as well, President Reiners, and just getting really sort of briefed on some of the some of the more pressing issues, but more than that, really making myself more aware of what's happening in the life of Morningside and the current moment, and also where we want to potentially go in the future. So those visits have been really, really enlightening for me. I've had the opportunity during those visits also to meet again people that I met during the campus visit, during the interview process. So back in November when I came for the campus visit, as you can imagine, that was sort of a whirlwind experience. I met so many people in a very short period of time. And so it's nice to come back to campus and to actually meet folks again and have an opportunity to actually sit and talk with them now in a very different way than what was happening during the course of the interview. So I've been preparing that way. I've been fortunate enough to receive from Aaron's office and from also all of the other senior staff members tons of briefing documents that I've been reading and going through myself. We'll be back on campus again in May for the board meeting and commencement weekend in May. And so those kinds of, Caleb, those kinds of trips where I make efforts to better familiarize myself with Morningside and with just the Siouxland area itself have been very helpful. Again, like I said, December seems like quite a long time ago now. And as I look at the things we've got to do on our end here, for example, I mean, we gotta put our house on the market and sell our house and all that sort of stuff, pack up our things and get things shipped there, all of that. Gosh, it seems overwhelming a little bit at times when you think about all that you've got to do, and now a very short period of time. But we'll manage it. We'll work our way through it. But yeah, so lots of visits with folks and phone calls and those types of things to sort of help prepare me to transition from president-elect to president. And of course, with any sort of transition, there's always a fairly steep learning curve. And I'm trying to alleviate some of that by doing these visits beforehand and getting to know as much as I can about Morningside prior to my actual day one.
Yeah, it definitely goes from the excitement of Oh my gosh, this is the new thing. And here we go. Get ready to all the logistics of, okay, we actually need to sell a house. We need to get ready. We need to pack everything up, make sure everyone feels good.
Yeah,
No doubt.
absolutely, absolutely.
Dr. Mosley, one of the things that I find most interesting is having people reflect on people that maybe had a significant impact on their life. Whether it's mentors or leaders. Can you talk about someone that's had a profound impact on you and maybe shaped you as a leader, kind of your vision and mentality that you've had that you look forward to maybe bringing to Morningside?
Yeah. So I've been very fortunate, Alex, and sort of my journey to find myself on the receiving end of just a lot of really, really amazing people who have poured into me. And I, just really, honestly speaking, countless people who, for whatever reason, took an interest in my development, took an interest in my growth, and really invested in me, and did so at a time when, if you were to sort of look at me where I was when they made that investment, probably would not have seemed like a smart investment, because I was, here I am, a first generation college student going off to school. And even when I started my professional career, I really young, starting my professional career in higher ed, and again, people just sort of took an interest in me and really began to help shape and form me. There's one person in particular that stands out that has really I would say, for the past three professional roles I've held, this individual has been a crucial part of that. And it's really interesting how some people come into your life and they sort of stay there in a very positive way. And so there's a gentleman he's retired now, retired college president. His name is David Beckley, and President Reinders will know David Beckley well. Dr. Beckley was a president at 2 institutions, but served a total of 35 years as a college president. 35 years. Like, can you imagine somebody being a college president for 35 years? He just retired from the second institution 2 years ago after about 28 years of service there. And Dr. Beckley, I met sort of early on in my career, and I always thought about being a college president, wanting to be a college president. And Dr. Beckley has, as I said, throughout the course of my career, as I found myself trying to navigate from one place to the next, he was always there to encourage me, always there to sort of push me to go to the next step, to go to the next level. And interestingly, even the role I have here at Methodist Healthcare. So I took a bit of I like to call it an executive detour. I took a bit of an executive detour. So I left higher ed about 4.5-5 years ago and came into this sort of corporate role here at Methodist Healthcare. It was David Beckley who helped to facilitate that, this same mentor of mine, because the world is so small. David Beckley was on the board for Methodist Healthcare. In fact, he was secretary of the board. And when one of the executives here, one of the senior vice presidents, was retiring, Dr. Beckley reached out to me. He knew that I was hoping to get closer to Mississippi because I had some issues with my mom aging, and a sister who was facing a terminal illness. And so I wanted to kind of get a little closer to home to be able to help out with some of that. And so this mentor, David Beckley, says to me, "Hey, there's something here that you might want to explore." And I remember saying to him, "Hey, I know about as much about healthcare as, this pen here. Like, I don't know a lot about healthcare." And, in fact, I even told him, I have my annual visits with my physician, and I try to avoid any encounters with healthcare beyond that. But he pushed me and said, "I think you should explore this. It'll get you close to home. You can help with your folks and all that sort of stuff." And wouldn't you know it, I did. And Dr. Beckley resurfaced about a year ago and said to me, "All right, it's about time for you to head back to higher ed now." And I'm like, wow, I said, I'm kind of enjoying this a bit, but that happened also around the same time, I think all of us during the course of the pandemic, we all sort of went into these moments of self-reflection where we began to think about, what's next for me in my life. And I do recall reaching out to Dr. Beckley during that time and saying to him, hey, I've been doing this for about 3 years now. I think it's about time. And he agreed that it's about time to really start your pivot and start thinking about what's next for you. I've got my mom situated in a long-term care facility. My sister, unfortunately, passed away. And so it was time to kind of re-examine and refocus a bit. But he's someone who's been there throughout my journey and has, as I said, took an interest in me, invested in me. I think early on in my career, when as I reflect back upon that time and that era for me, I don't know that there was a whole lot there to really invest in, but somehow he saw something that I didn't see. And I think that's an important point for our students to bear in mind, that, oftentimes it takes other people to see the promise that's within us. And he actually saw the promise within me. He saw the possibilities within me, and really, just said, hey, this is somebody that I'm gonna spend some time with. I'm gonna pour into him, and I'm so grateful that he did that, Alex. I really am.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be where I am today if it were not for that type of encouragement I received from him throughout my journey.
Well, and it's so interesting that you bring that up. Recently I've had a couple different alumni get-togethers and alumni events, and I was actually speaking with a couple recently, and one of them had just been named partner in a law firm. And he was talking about his time at Morningside, and he said he had no dreams or aspirations of going to law school, had never even thought of that. And then he recalled a conversation with Lillian Lopez here on campus. There was an internship coming up that had more of a legal focus. And she said, I think you do great in this type of field. I think you should really explore this. And he didn't see that in himself, but took her up on that encouragement. And really, really sought after that advice and thought, gosh, if she sees that in me, maybe I should explore that. And now he's in Des Moines and he's practicing and was named partner, and just looks back on that. And I think there are a lot of those mentors here on campus as well that kind of inspire those students to maybe take a step that they didn't know they were ready for or didn't see themselves pursuing.
Yeah, that's amazing. I actually, Alex, listened to a portion of that particular podcast and was really, really impressed by the story that he shared. It's I've always described it this way. So there's this American historian named Thomas Oden, who writes about what he refers to as the inner call and the outward call. And so the inner call is sort of that, our own beliefs and hopes and desires for ourselves. And sometimes, we express those and sometimes we don't express them very well. But he says the more powerful thing is that outer call. And that's when other people see possibility in you. And sometimes they confirm what you yourself feel about yourself. And sometimes they actually send you in a totally different direction. But he sort of encourages leaders today to never lose sight of the responsibility that you have as a leader, to really tap others on the shoulder and say to them, hey, I think you'd be great at this. I think you'd be great at, just like what happened when Lillian said to this young man, hey, you should really consider law school. So, and that's a responsibility that I take really seriously, because I'm a beneficiary of that. I'm a beneficiary of people seeing things in me that I could not see in myself or did not see in myself. And, others sort of just tapping me on the shoulder and saying to me, I think you'd be really good at this,
That desire that once it's happened in your life to pay it forward, you know what I mean? And to be that inspiration for the next generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. So we know that you're going to be doing a lot of listening and collaborating with multiple people when you get onto campus in your first year. But are there some things that you see as priorities, or anything in particular that you're just excited to take on?
There will be a lot of listening. And in fact, I want to be very intentional about that. Be very intentional about hearing what others have to say, and learning from students, learning from faculty members, learning from staff, learning from alums, trustees, everyone who's a part of the Morningside family. And I also know that there are some very pressing needs. During my my campus visit back in November, and then in a follow-up visit we had, I think maybe in January or so, I had an opportunity to have lunch. You were there, Garrett. I had lunch with some students on a Saturday morning, and in almost every setting where I've engaged with students, there's a recurring theme, and it's a theme that's not necessarily unique to Morningside. It's a recurring theme really throughout higher ed these days, and that's the theme of affordability. Morningside is a phenomenal place to study, to grow, to be shaped and formed as a citizen of the world. But I know that it's a challenge for so many students to be able to be there, for their families to afford it. So one of my priorities I really want to focus on early is exploring ways for us to address the issue of affordability for our students, and that's going to require, again, engaging more with students and hearing from them firsthand. What are your day-to-day challenges related to this? And I know a little bit of that firsthand. Having having had three kids in college at the same time. You got one in college, it's one story. That's a different story. You got two, that's a little bit different. When you got three, you're paying for three at the same time. It does become a bit of a squeeze. And I don't care what even if you are at a middle to upper middle income level, is still a challenge managing that for families. And so I want to really spend some time, Garrett, trying to figure out how we can address that for our students. The thing that I would hate to think happens, and I know it does, it happens a lot, that students will be deprived of the Morningside experience because their families simply cannot afford for them to remain there. So that's something that I really want us to explore, to dig deep in on, and to try to figure out how we can help answer that for a lot of our students and their families. I know that a good number of our students come from rural communities throughout Iowa, and it really is a privilege to be able to study at a place like Morningside. And with it being a privilege, we got to make sure that our students do have, continue to enjoy that privilege, that they continue to have that opportunity. And so addressing the challenge of affordability will be one of the things that I'll be interested in early on.
So, Dr. Mosley, you obviously have a lot of good qualities. What's one thing that you want our students on campus to know about you before you get here?
Well, thank you, Caleb, for the question. I think, I think I consider myself to be somewhat personable. I think I'm personable and approachable. I've been a student for a long time in my own life. So I think to just know that I'm approachable, I'm human just like they are. I'm a real person who has hurts and pains, very much like they do, who has anxieties and fears about the future, just like they do, concerns about what happens tomorrow, next week, next year. And that really we're sort of all in it together. We're all navigating this thing called life together. And there's a lot that I can learn from you all as students. And I think based upon just my wisdom and experience, there are things that you could learn from me as well. So I think when it really comes down to it, Caleb, just the approachable, real person who, as I said, has had and has some of the same experiences that you all have as students.
Yeah, especially as a first generation student yourself. I think that relatability coming from a small town and things like that, it's good to know that that you want to be seen as approachable, and hope that students will take you up on that for sure. So I think that's reassuring as me. I know that that's something people have appreciated about President Reinders, and I'm excited that you'll continue that legacy. I think that's great. Now, Dr. Mosley, I tell you what, it's been a little heavy. It's been great getting to know you on that side and some of the deeper things, but now we want to have a little fun with it. Sarah came up with some rapid fire questions just to get to know you just a little bit. And so I'm pumped to hear these answers. This is going to be good stuff.
All
Sarah.
right, let's do it, Sarah.
Okay. Favorite color?
Purple, and I think I like purple largely because it's a very rich color. It symbolizes passion. I tend to be kind of passionate about things that I really believe in. So purple, yeah.
Okay. Burger or taco?
Well, based upon the story I told you a few moments ago, I had a taco not by choice.
Yeah.
So burger definitely for me.
Okay. Favorite holiday?
That would have to be Christmas, and largely because, everybody's, folks come around for all of the holidays, but Christmas just feels a little different for me. It feels extra special. People are in a joyful mood. We exchange gifts, and so, yeah, I think Christmas for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I feel like going back to the burger or taco, like Lawanitas might transfer him back to
Truly,
taco rather
yeah.
than we'll see about that. That's
All
for
right,
sure.
all right. I am open to transformation. I'm open to conversion to tacos. If I'm presented with a really, really good one, I'm really open to it.
Most definitely. Well, I'm sure they can handle introducing you to that for sure.
Oh yeah. Laundry or dishes? Which would you rather do?
How about neither? No.
Yeah, there you go.
If I had to choose, I would probably take dishes, because with laundry, I think it doesn't mean just doing the laundry. You probably got to fold it afterwards, and so not into the whole folding of laundry at all. So I'll take dishes over laundry.
Favorite app on your phone?
So, well, I'll tell you the one I use the most, and it's Waze. Yeah, because
I love that app.
yeah, because even after 4 years here in Memphis, and I'll do the same there in Sioux City in the Siouxland area. I am the absolute worst with directions. I cannot. I use Waze to get to work every single day. And I know how to get here, obviously, but also it gives me a good gauge of time and all of that, and tells me where, if there's an accident along the way, or, I tend to have a little bit of lead in my foot. So I drive kind of fast. So it lets me know when there's like a cop up ahead and I can slow down, all that sort of stuff. So Waze is my favorite app on my phone. Yeah.
I love it. Snooze button, or do you wake up immediately?
Yeah, let's see. Don't ask Sarita this question. She'll give you a different answer for me.
Right.
Okay, so I do something really odd. I set 3 alarms on my phone. So I get up at 5 every morning. I do 5, 5:05, and 5:10. All right. So in that way, it's not really the snooze button. So when it goes off at 5, I hit the button, and then it goes off again at 5:05. I hit it. And then I get up at 5:10. So I guess it's sort of a hybrid between the snooze button or getting up right away.
Okay, fair enough. Favorite food?
Favorite what?
Favorite food?
Oh, favorite food. You mean food type or just food?
Food in general. I don't know.
All right. So I gotta admit, I'm like a junk food guy. So I love junk food. I love sweets. That's kind of that's my Achilles heel. I love Snickers bars. So
Really?
so I'm going to my assistant here, she has on her desk a jar with a little Snickers bites and all kinds of other stuff in it. And I keep telling her, you gotta put that thing away, because every 5 minutes I walk past, I grab Snickers bites out of there. So yeah, I would say junk food, candy, and narrowing it down, Snickers bars.
Great. Passenger or driver?
Definitely driver. I am the worst passenger in the world. You do not want me sitting on the passenger side.
Favorite beverage?
Coke. I like Coke a lot. That's one of the things I'm trying to sort of cut back onto. So a Coke and a Snickers bar, and I'm good to go. All right. That's where I get my energy. I don't do like the, what are the, the Red Bull. I don't do all that sort of stuff. Coke and Snickers bar, and I am hyped after that. So
those are the vices right there.
Apple or Android?
Apple all the way. I don't even know what an Android is, so.
Good man.
My wife has an Android, and I keep saying to her, I'm like, when are you going to like seriously, like, when are you going to get with the 21st century here? Like Android's like, I can't imagine having an Android. For those who are Android users, I'm sorry. Okay. But,
right. They'll get it eventually.
Yeah.
One irrational fear you have.
Ooh. So I have this really crazy fear of heights. Okay. However, if I'm in an enclosed space, heights don't bother me. So my office here is on the 7th floor, for example, and I've got tons of windows. I've got tons of windows in my office. I can go stand at the window, look down. It doesn't bother me at all. But if I'm in even to get up, climb on a ladder to go on top of my house, I can't do that. So I have this irrational fear of heights. But if I'm in an enclosed, if I'm enclosed, then I'm not as afraid of it.
Yeah. Early bird or night owl?
Ooh, I am an early bird. I get up at 5 every morning. I get up at 5:10 by the time I finish.
Yeah, exactly. 5 o'clock asterisk.
Right. All right, and then last thing, favorite pizza topping?
Ooh, so pepperoni and sausage I think there's a tie between pepperoni and sausage for me. If I can't have sausage, I'll have double pepperoni. Okay.
I was gonna say, I wondered if we were gonna get into the controversy of like pineapple on pizza or something. It was like, yeah, no doubt, stick with the pepperoni or the sausage.
Yeah, I can do pineapple on pizza, and I've done that. In fact, our 8-year-old likes the Hawaiian pizza thing with pineapple and almond sausage and all that. So I can do that, but I prefer not doing it. If I don't have to. I'm kind of a. The reason I get up and run so much is I'm a meat lovers kind of guy, with pizza. So, I like pepperoni, I like sausage, throw in some ham on there, put some chicken on there, put everything on there, and extra cheese, by the way. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Dr. Mosley, it's been awesome having you on Inside Mside. We truly appreciate you taking time out of your day to be able to join us on this podcast, be able to join some of the students here. Students, I really appreciate your willingness. I know that some of you are missing class or even had clinics and tests and everything. So appreciate your willingness to join us too. And just get a chance to get to know you. We're excited to have you on campus. Can't wait for that. Rest assured, when you come on campus this next time, it'll be a little warmer than when you were first here.
For sure.
So we're excited for that. But I also really want to let people know listening to the pod that there are going to be a number of opportunities, whether you're an alum, whether you're a friend or family or any member of the Morningside family, there are going to be a lot of opportunities to get to know Dr. Mosley. And so I'm looking forward to those. Watch your email, stay connected, make sure you know what's coming down so you can at least have this opportunity to get to know him a little bit more. And with that, Dr. Mosley, I just want to give you one last opportunity. Is there, as we end the conversation, anything you want to add, any final remarks?
The only thing I'd like to add is just my expressions of appreciation, Alex, to you and Aaron and team for pulling this together, and certainly to our students here present. I'm sorry, Sarah, if you're missing clinicals, or you're probably not as sorry about it, are you? You're probably happy to. But yeah, Sarah, thank you. Caleb, thank you so much. Garrett, thank you. This has been fun. I look forward to seeing you guys in person, hopefully when we come next month, and getting a chance to just visit with you and hear more about your stories and what brought you to Morningside, what keeps you there, what excites you about the place. I think, obviously, as you all know, you guys are the best ambassadors that the university has, and I'll be especially interested in just kind of learning more about you so that we can continue telling the story of Morningside. So this has been great. I really appreciate it. I think we've had a lot of fun kind of chatting here today. So
no doubt.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No doubt. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Inside Mside. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. And we'll see you on the next episode.